Afternoon everybody, Silverbolt here, back for the Transformers review, going to be doing, as per the title page, Powerglide, his Generation 1 toy. I'm going to be sticking with the cartoon continuity for this video, because it means when it comes around to me doing the universe version of Powerglide, I can then do his comic storylines. Now then, Powerglide is pretty much the first Autobot we see, aside from Skyfire, who can fly directly under his own power. And oh boy does it go to his head. For such a little dweeb, he really does have a big ego. His ego comes only moderately behind Sunstreaker. He could even outdo Trax. Unfortunately, Powerglide, whereas Trax's ego just makes him cool, Powerglide's ego just makes him obnoxious and irritating. Now, Powerglide, of course, can fly at great speeds, but he never does it in a straight line. He is basically an aerial stuntman. He has read far too many comic books about Captain Biggles, because he really does fly that fast, and he's always going in a loop-de-loop. And that is really a good thing, because he's a bit of a paper tiger. He talks big, but, poke him with a sharp stick and he's going to fall over. Because he's only dinky, bless him. And his his ego is well placed in that he is an excellent pilot. And it's the only thing that saves his life, because he does shout his mouth off an awful lot. People do try to shoot him down quite a lot. And because of his ego, it tends to send him up against opponents that he really shouldn't. But because he's actually such a really good he's got such really good aerial maneuverability, he can actually take on, it's very much a case of the wasp trying to kill the elephant. He just stings him to death, because he's only got a little dinky gun at the end of his nose, bless him, that pokes out the top of his head. In robot mode. Now then, Powerglide in the cartoon. Now we first see Powerglide randomly pop up out of nowhere. And I mean literally just pops up out of nowhere to rescue Spike after Megatron throws Spike out of his ship. Powerglide just makes a grandiose entrance and promptly rescues him. And that's our first meeting with Powerglide. Unfortunately, for many people, it's not our last meeting with Powerglide. He pops up again, being a rather central character in two later episodes, the Dinobot Island episodes, where he is paired up with Bumblebee, and his ego comes to the fore quite a bit again in that episode, because he says that, the only reason that Bumblebee is with Powerglide is because he's so awesome. He must be hot stuff to be sharing the skies with old Powerglide. So, there we go. Shut up, Arto. And it does give rise to the great immortal line from Bumblebee, which I think is one of the greatest lines in Transformers, is when Bumblebee is being attacked by the pterodactyl, Powerglide comes swooping in with some suitably heroic line, and Bumblebee turns around and goes, "Can't he just save a guy without doing a commercial?" I really did like that line. I actually used it in one of my stories at another point. But there we go. When Prime goes back to Cybertron after finding the female Autobots, it is later found out that Powerglide has a bit of a thing for Moonracer. Well, Powerglide and Moonracer have a bit of a thing. I mean, Moonracer thinks he's awesome. Doesn't help his ego any. And then, of course, later on, the frankly disturbing G1 episode, The Girl Who Loved Powerglide, where Powerglide develops a bit of a thing for Astoria Carlton Ritz. And we thought Black Arachnia and Silverbolt in Beast Wars was bad enough. To the point where, of course, Powerglide gets, at the end of the episode, the little glowing, pumping heart. They even went on a date. Yes, they went on a date. Anyway. Powerglide, it appears, would meet his end in the episode The Dark Awakening of Optimus Prime, when he is shot down by the Quintesson defense systems around their central asteroid, when the zombie Optimus Prime leads the other Autobots into a trap. However, it either wasn't him that got blown up, or he got better quite quickly, because when Starscream's Ghost and Scourge try to steal Metroplex's eyes, Powerglide is one of the ones that's wounded trying to stop him. So he gets better quite quickly. Now then, onto the toy of Powerglide. Now this is, of course, his G1 release, and his alt mode is an A10 Thunderbolt 2. Now, according to Powerglide's bio, he can fly at something like 3,200 miles an hour, which, if I recollect correctly, is something like Mach 4.5, which is a hell of a lot faster than a real Thunderbolt can go, which is actually a hell of a lot faster than even modern combat jets can go. But since when did realism matter when it came to alt modes? Because of the way he transforms. Hang on, I've lost my web camera. There it is. Because the way that Powerglide transforms, he actually has a lot more articulation than any of the other minibots. I mean, transforming, like all the minibots, is absurdly simple. Pull the legs out, push the wings in, lift them up, turn the head, lift them up, and just pull out the arms. These rather gorilla-esque arms. But as I said, because the way he transforms, he actually has quite a lot of articulation going for him. For instance, he has shoulder joints, which do a 360, and he can move at the elbows. A lot more than any other bloody minibot can do. But of course, his head movement is hampered by the fact that his wings are up there, so he turns his head and he can't see to the left or the right of himself. A nice funky little toy, it has to be said. Powerglide was one of the ones that when I couldn't find it I was actually quite upset about, because I've always liked it. I've always liked this toy. I mean, I don't know what it is, but his face, you can see it, his face is kind of like a sad look to it. He does look rather a little bit despondent in his face, and I don't know, maybe I shouldn't say things like that about robot toys, but there we go. But I do like it. It doesn't have anything going for it majorly, apart from the fact it can move its elbows. And incidentally, it has only 4 fingers, 3 fingers and a thumb. The only G1 toy, I believe, to actually only have 4 fingers and a thumb. All the others, of course, I believe, have 3. Where was I getting 3 from? But yeah, a nice little toy, really common, really cheap. eBay, if you're paying more than a £5 for it, you've been ripped off for it. A funky toy to go with quite a funky little character. I mean, if you can get your hands on a Powerglide, you really should, because he's a great little toy and he's a great little character. If you like obnoxious flying things, I mean, as I said, I think it was my Starscream video. Being obnoxious seems to be just a character trait in a plane. So there we go. But anyway, yes, that is my review done on Powerglide. I shall return with another review on Powerglide at some point, detailing his universe figure and his comic book bios. But for now, this is Silverbolt with G1 Powerglide signing off, saying au revoir, adios, auf Wiedersehen.